Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Funky Brain Podcast. My name is Dennis, and this is my Funky Brain. Who I have here today, man, he is a Frank Sinatra singer. And if you close your eyes, you'll picture Frank Sinatra singing. His name is Eddie Sessa, and he's joining us from New York City. Eddie, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing well, Dennis. How you doing?
I am doing pretty well myself. Everything is pretty great. You know, we're learning how to cope in our new normal for now.
Yeah.
It's not going to be forever. It's just for now. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, nothing lasts forever. And Lord willing, this is one of those things that never lasts forever.
Yeah. So, awesome stuff. So I was listening to you last night. So Eddie does a Facebook Live every Tuesday night that you could tune into. And I thought I was listening to Frank Sinatra. It sounds that close to it. He was singing Fly Me to the Moon. Although not good when I sing it, but when Mr. Sessa sings it, it sounds incredible. So what got you into that, other than, of course, sounding just like him?
Well, first, thank you for the kind words. And what got me into it? Oh, that's a long story. I gotta say, before I even talk about that, I saw your Bill Boggs interview, and I really enjoyed it. And he started out by saying laughter is the best medicine. When Bill Boggs said laughter is the best medicine, and I agree 100% with him. I might add to that music heals the soul, and I just started a company actually, which I've been working on for a while, called Malt Entertainment. And what that stands for is music and laughter therapy.
I love that. Music and laughter therapy.
Laughter therapy. And it's so true. Those are the two greatest things to make a person feel good. I just finished writing a show, actually, which is called A Night of Musical Nostalgia. Because musical nostalgia, they've done studies and found scientific studies where they hooked up the brain and found that when somebody plays your favorite music from years ago, your brain reacts the same way as if it took a drug that makes you feel those endorphins, releases those endorphins. A drug or love. The love and the drugs can induce the same feelings as listening to your favorite music from years ago. And my show, I have a great comedian friend of mine, Mike Marino, who he's going to open the shows for me. He's a funny guy, So we got it all covered. We got the music, we got the laughter, and hopefully it's the therapy that everybody needs. I'm looking forward to that when this crazy pandemic finally ends, God willing, sooner than later.
Yeah, and I can't agree with you more about music and laughter. And I love your concept, Malt. That is such a great concept. I mean, music really sets the tone. Like if you talk about like losing your senses. I was thinking about this early this morning, a very similar concept. But if you were to actually like lose any of your senses, I think I would rather go blind than lose my hearing. I need to hear music. I need to laugh, and I need to listen to somebody when you're feeling down and you hear something that just makes you giggle inside, and all those problems they're gone. Yeah, and you could turn on a song and go back to a time when you were filled with laughter, or even when a musician dies, people really mourn their loss. And you're like, why? I never met them before. This is just some celebrity out there somewhere. But how you were connected with them is they were there with you through the happy times, the sad times, the mad times, the glad times. They were on in your car. They were in your bedroom. They were out on a walk with you. Like you connect with these people. And when somebody dies, it's like you miss them.
Yeah. I actually, I was lucky enough to have met Frank Sinatra, which I'll tell you a little bit more about later. But when I was young, had dinner with him and Dino. But I did. I cried when he died, and I never met Luther Vandross. I was supposed to. He was one of my favorites. I loved Luther Vandross, and actually had tickets, front row seats, to see him at the Westbury Music Fair here in New York. And he got sick, and I never got to see him. And then he passed away, and I literally cried, when he passed away, like you're saying, Same with Michael Jackson, just when you have people who, they have such talent, and it's sad to see them go,
I do know, yeah. And so that's really interesting, that you had dinner with Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. So tell me about that.
I was in my early 20s, and was in Atlantic City, New Jersey, at the Golden Nugget Casino, the original Golden Nugget Casino, when Steve Wynn owned it back in the day, early 80s. And yeah, Frank and Dean, they actually were friends with my godfather and my uncle. And we went to see them in concert there. And then afterwards, we had dinner with them, you know. So I was sitting with royalty at that table, you know. I was just a kid. I wish I was my age now, sitting with them. I think I would have even appreciated it more. But that's when I actually started singing their music, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Those are things that change your life forever. They help.
Oh, yeah.
They help form your life, I guess I should say.
Without a doubt, you know.
Yeah, and so what's going on right now? What are you doing? What are you doing with your business? Are you taking this malt in a certain direction? Are you gonna try to expound on this online singing, or what's going on? Tell us.
I kind of, you know what, before I tell you what I'm doing now, I'm actually going to take you back a little bit, you know.
Please do. Yeah,
awesome. Where I got to now, you know, and then where I feel like I'd like to be going in the future, you know. But it brings me back to Bill Bugg's interview again, you know, because he finished the interview saying, he quoted Frank Sinatra. Basically, what he was saying was, Frank Sinatra said, "You are very powerful as long as you know you're very powerful."
I love that. That reminds me of a quote I heard. It was, our greatest fear is not that we're weak, it's that we're powerful beyond measure. So that's a similar quote to what you said.
Yeah.
But I love that.
You know, it made me do some introspection, you know, and if you're interested, I'll share a very personal story of my life, which led me to where I am now. And I've never shared this personal information with anyone before. You know?
Please do. Yeah, I look forward to hearing.
It's funny because when I do shows now, when I'm on stage or whatever, you know, I've done shows for as many as 6,000 people. I had in Eisenhower Park in East Meadow, Long Island in New York. And I did a 2-hour Sinatra show with a 20-piece orchestra, you know. You know, people see me do shows like that and everything, and they figure I was born to do this. I was, you know, wow, you make it look so easy. You know, you're not nervous up there. If they only knew my background, you know, I couldn't even speak in front of, you know, a group of people. Forget about 6,000 people. I couldn't speak in front of 10 people, you know, if I had to get up and talk when I was in my 20s, my early 20s. And, you know, I come from an Italian family, a very dysfunctional Italian family, you know, growing up with the old school parents. And, you know, Lord knows they didn't want me to be an entertainer, that's for sure, you know. But, you know, I grew up as a little kid. All I ever used to hear was, you know, children are meant to be seen and not heard, you know. So when you were a little kid, you kept your mouth shut, you know. And I kept my mouth shut for a long, long time. You know, and because if you said something wrong, oh my God, you know, that was the end of the world. You know, I admire when I see young kids today on these shows, American Got Talent, American Idol, and all these shows, and I see these little kids up there, and their parents are behind them smiling, and they're so happy that these kids are up there singing their hearts out and everything. And I says, wow, look at the 5, 6, 7 years old, some of them, you know, as young as that, get up there and they're like seasoned professionals. And I say, wow, I guess that's what, if you have a little push, you know, from mom and dad, you know, but I couldn't even practice my music. You know, I used to like playing the piano, you know, I'd come home, okay, you finished now? I want to watch put their TV on, you know. So I really didn't have much backing when it came to that, you know. So I was a real late bloomer, to say the least, you know. I always loved music. I always loved music. Music kept me going, you know, but it took me a long time, and it took me a lot of self-help, I guess, you know, reading a lot of books and going to a lot of seminars and such. With Tony Robbins was my man, you know, when I was in my late 20s and early 30s, and he helped me a lot. And little by little, I always knew I had a voice. I always knew I had a good voice, but you need a lot more than a good voice when you're doing shows, you know, when you're in front of all these people. They have to know who you are. You know, you got to connect with the audience. So that took me a long time to get to that point. Here I am now in my later years, and it's really, a lot of it is just coming together for me, you know, opening up. But again, Italians grew up also very, you know, everything was so private, and, you know, don't let anybody outside of the family know your business, you know. Remember that saying from The Godfather?
Yeah, I do.
So that's the kind of family I grew up with, you know. So you just kept your mouth shut. It's hard to be a singer keeping your mouth shut, you know. But I'm happy to be where I'm at, you know. So but I never pursued my singing career until later in life. I was a restaurateur. I owned a few restaurants, and it turned out I opened up. I had a couple of supper clubs. I ended up singing at the supper clubs and building up a real nice business. I had one of the most successful supper clubs in Long Island back in the 90s, you know. That's where I really started honing the skill, but I never ever thought of myself as an entertainer or a singer. I always thought of myself as a restaurateur who got up and sang in his place, you know, but I had a nice trio there and I always had a different female vocalist every night, you know, and I would get up and do my thing. We built up a very, very successful business, you know. When I sold the last one I had was in 2002, and I moved down to Florida for a while. And down in Florida, several years I didn't do any singing or anything. It's a long story short. I was in this restaurant one night with some friends of mine from New York who knew the owner of the restaurant, and they had a guy singing there. I said, "Oh, you should let my buddy Eddie get up and sing a song," you know. And I really was, you know, I didn't have my head for that right then and there. But anyway, with some cokes, and they got me up, sang a song. The owner says, "Come on, sing another one," and I sing another one. Next thing you know, he's coming over to the table. When I was done, he says, "Can you give me one night a week over here, please? Can you come and sing here?" I says, "That's not what I do," you know. Like, he says, "Well, you do it pretty good." He says, "You got to come on, give me one night a week." I gave him one night a week. That led to 2 nights a week. That led to some other people hearing me and giving me offers to sing some places. Before you know it, I had a 2-year contract with Diamond Resorts International, which is the big timeshare resort down there, and they're all over the world. You know? And I was singing there 2 nights a week and doing their special events and such like. And that's how it started, and it just snowballed, you know. So again, I'm only going back now the last 10 years. So I really still consider myself a novice, but and learning every day. I'm still learning every day.
It doesn't matter how old you are.
Right.
It's you still have this time. Every day is a gift. You know, you don't have coronavirus, you don't have cancer yet. You know, whatever it is that you think are these debilitating problems, and sometimes people do have those problems. But you know, if it's money, if it's all these other little things, as long as you're healthy, it's like go after your dreams you have today. Doesn't matter if you're 30 years old or 93 years old, you still have today. So to go after it. And you know, you bring up Bill Boggs, and one of the things that we were talking about when I interviewed him, and I love this about him, is he said that he was able to achieve everything he ever wanted to in life, and most of it he dreamt about when he was a kid. So I mean, he's one of the really fortunate ones, and what an incredible man he is. But how awesome it is to go after your dreams, your goals, your desires, whatever it is. Go after them now. I'll tell you, I'm a late bloomer. I learn really slow and I forget really fast. That's my thing. You know, it's taken me like I'll be doing something that isn't going right, and I realized it hasn't been going right ever in my whole life for 48 years. I'm like, oh, I can change that. Like, why didn't I just change this like 30 years ago? You know, this some little thing, whatever this little thing is. But we all learn at our own pace, I think.
Well, you know what? You can't change the past, but every day starts your future, you know, and you make your future what you want from here on, you know.
That's right.
Don't live in the past, because the past can only bring you headaches, you know, especially if you didn't like it, you know. But some very successful people that I know, you know, they've always said the same thing. They don't even want to talk about the past, you know, unless it's a learning experience or whatever. Just worry about the future, you know. Can't live the past. It's gone.
Yeah, just plan for the future. Do the right things today, and the future will unfold that way.
Without a doubt.
So that's a great story, the story in Florida, how you ended up getting that gig. And so what moved in? How did you get back to New York? And then what got you to continue moving in this direction?
Well, what got me back to New York wasn't the best of circumstances. A divorce that got me back to New York. So, I said, you know, I just says, I got to get back to my roots, you know, where everybody I know, you know, is here in New York. You know, I don't have a big family. I've got cousins up here. That's about it. And but I'm very close with, and tons of friends. You know, so I said if I'm going to start my life over, it'd be in my hometown.
Yeah, that's great. And what better place to be a Frank Sinatra singer than in New York City?
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, how would they go about doing that?
Well, they can, Facebook really is where I do everything, you know, so Eddie Sessa, you know, EDDIESESSA, Eddie Sessa, that's my Facebook. I put everything out there, or whatever shows I'm doing, or, you know, like these Facebook live feeds and such. I have a professional page also, Eddie Sessa, Frank Sinatra tribute artist. The show that I'm going to be doing is not Frank Sinatra, you know, it's going to be, again, it's called Musical Nostalgia. So it's all the music that got me to where I am today. Yeah, I try to make it fun, you know? Again, music and laughter, right?
I love that. Again, Eddie Sessa. So I would say, first of all, thank you so much for joining me today, Eddie.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, really great time. I appreciate you opening up and sharing your story and your experiences. It was really cool. So for those that are interested, Eddie does Facebook Live every Tuesday night. I believe is it at 5 o'clock on Eastern time?
8 o'clock Eastern time.
8 o'clock Eastern time. So I'm in Colorado, so it's 6 o'clock my time.
6 o'clock your time, yeah.
Yeah, 5 o'clock California. So awesome. I would highly recommend tuning in. It's really awesome stuff. If you're a fan of Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack and that type of music, that era, it is awesome stuff. Very entertaining and put a smile on your face. Eddie, thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll talk soon. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Funky Brain Podcast. Hey, Dennis here. Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, I need to quit? Or maybe you've tried dozens or even hundreds of times on your own, but you can't do it. If you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, call me now for a free 20-minute consultation. We'll just talk for a little bit and we'll see if you don't feel better. And while we're all dealing with the COVID pandemic, I'm offering 2 free full 40-minute coaching sessions. We'll get you set up with the tools you need to become successful in recovery and sobriety. I know from experience, having been sober since April 8th of 2003, that it is not easy, but you don't have to do it by yourself. I'm here to help. We'll do it together. If I can get clean and sober, anybody can. So call me right now, not tomorrow when you're sick and hungover. Again, right now. I'm here to help. Have a great day.